I'm Sterling, this is Brilliant Stupidity, and here is how you can find every version of the Erdtrees blessing, which, for many builds, is going to be the best talisman in the game. But before we get started here, you're going to need to grab a bow and 2 stone sword keys, which we're going to be using later. So we're going to start by heading back to the Stranded Graveyard, right where we started the game, to find the Erdtrees Blessing version 1. This is the baseline version. Now we're going to need 2 stone sword keys to unlock this. Just ignore the screaming there, I'm pretty sure someone had Taco Bell for lunch. So you can see I used both stone sword keys there. Bit of a pain in the ass to get both of them this early in the game. This is a samurai character who's level 10. This still took me a few attempts though. So luckily with the samurai armor we can run right through the poison. With many other builds, or if you just don't have good armor, you're going to need to jump up to the side on one of those pots. They're easy to break, so be careful while doing that. Now we're going to wait for this large rolly death machine to stop up at the top. Then we're going to run down all the way through to the second hole in the wall on the side there. Then we're going to head down to the third hole in the wall and drop down all the way. Now we're just going to head straight down here. This time it decides to come down and almost kill me. It does stop there, but usually it doesn't come down this way, so it scared me a bit there. Now we're going to drop down right here. That's the difficult part. You've got to make sure you're dropping down right on that spot and not just into the void. And there's 2 imps right at the beginning of this here. They're fairly easy to stagger, and you can also pretty much guaranteed backstab the first one. Really, you want to deal with them one at a time because they are slippery little bastards. They stack bleed too, so they can be very dangerous. So one very important thing, before you attempt this, you have to make sure that you have some sort of ranged ability. I would recommend a bow. I'm not sure if spells work, but they probably do. Up here is a statue that breathes fire. It fills up this entire hallway with fire that will almost certainly one-shot you if you're doing this at a low level. So if you hit it with a bow, as I did there, it goes down and stops shooting fire. There's 1 imp to the side, just to the right there in that little alcove. Now we're going to head straight here, just to the east, northeast. Continue down here. That's going to bring us to a large boss fight room. Now there are 2 bosses in this room. The Grafted Scions, just like you fought at the beginning of the game. They're on the ceiling, they're not going to attack you immediately. We're going to head through this middle pathway here, straight to the item on the ground, which is the Erdtrees Blessing, and then we're just running out. We're dipping out immediately after. There's no reason to stay here and fight them, they are assholes. You can just easily run by them though. Usually you can run under them if they try to block the bridge, but that's a little hit or miss. Make sure you don't have too many runes when attempting this, because you may well lose them here. Now we just fast travel out. Now here's the Erdtrees favor. This is the basic version, and it increases your HP by 3%, your stamina by 6.75%, and your equip load by 5%, which is pretty great. So for the +1 version of the Erdtrees Blessing, we're going to be heading to the Cathedral of the Forsaken. This is a pretty hard area to get to. You'll get here by going through the sewers and pretty much all of the other underground areas under the capital, and eventually you'll make your way down an elevator and reach this area. If you're trying to do anything to do with the Frenzied Flame or the Frenzied Flame ending, you will want to go this way. You'll need to go this way actually, in order to unlock that. Now for you, you'll see a boss fight door right here. Well, actually I don't know if you'll see it on your first try, but after you die to him the first time, there will be a boss fight door for Mog the Omen. That's a pretty difficult boss fight. I already beat it here, and I already grabbed the Erdtrees Blessing +1 as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording that, I just forgot. You can find the +1 Erdtrees Blessing just in the chest at the end of the room here. Mog the Fell Omen is very difficult to defeat. It will probably take you a good few attempts. You might need to change your build for it, but if you're just doing it for the Erdtrees Blessing +1, it's probably not worth your time. It's not that much better than the Erdtrees Blessing baseline. It increases your HP by 3.5%, your stamina by 8.25%, and your equip load by 6.5%, which it's about 20% better than the basic Erdtrees favor. Also, just in case you were wondering, you can only have one version of the Erdtrees Blessing or any other talisman equipped at a time. Now, there are spoilers ahead from this point. You're going to have to complete pretty much the entire game to get to this point. The entire main storyline, at least. This is extremely late game after you do something that cannot be undone and is a core part of the main storyline. Right after that spoilers ahead sign goes down, I'm going to mention what that is. So, after you burn the Erdtree, which, if you don't know what that is, I mean, you'll figure that out eventually. It's pretty late in the main storyline, but you will get there if you just keep following it. After you burn the Erdtree, it changes much of the map. The main place that changes is the capital here. Now, right on that mark, that's where we're going to be going. Previously, that was just a pit full of water, but now, well, you'll see in a second. It's a pretty horrible area filled with ash and some terrible enemies, but first we just have to run across this bridge, deal with the enemies here. Nothing too bad, it's the same as before. You can just basically speedrun it. The +2 version of the Erdtrees Blessing is about as much better than the +1 version as the +1 version is from the +0 version. Keep that in mind. I mean, it's once again not worth going too far out of your way to get this, but once you're already at this point in the storyline, you may as well grab it. As you can see in a second, you can basically sneak by the enemies that are guarding it and just take it. So now we're in Lundell, the Ashen capital. We'll look down here. That is a pretty gnarly enemy. Now, it looks like there's just one of them, but there are multiple. Right there on the back there, on that big log, you could see for a second, that's where the Erdtrees Blessing +2 is. So we're going to sneak around that enemy and attempt to sneak around the other one and get to it here. You can fight them head on, but they are really just absolutely not designed for you to fight two at once. It's just an absolute stun lock clusterfuck where you can't see them for half the time. In general, these enemies abuse the camera mechanics to just make themselves difficult to hit and difficult to dodge. But when there's two of them, you're just not going to be able to dodge them for the most part. Unless you can absolutely just destroy them quickly at range or something like that. They're just not worth fighting, honestly. So I would recommend that you don't have too many runes when you're coming here and trying to do this. Just level up if you can. I have actually 270,000 runes here, because after beating the last boss to unlock this area, and progress the storyline, I forgot to level up, because I was like, okay, I've been meaning to make this guide for a while. I forgot last time, so I'm going to do it quickly here. But I completely forgot to level up, and I actually lost these runes. Not by being killed by these guys. I was killed by these guys, but that's not how I lost them. I lost them falling down an elevator shaft due to stick drift as I was alt-tapped. That was not fun. So I tried to fight them for a second here. That is a mistake, as you'll see, because one of them you can lock onto, easily dodge, easily attack, all of that, but the other one's just going to be hitting you in the back. They have gigantic AoEs. The only real redeeming quality of this fight is that sometimes they hit each other, and that almost always staggers the other one. So you can go for some iframes as you're doing a critical hit there, but otherwise they're just going to absolutely roll you. So we're going to go back through all of the items here just so we can get in direct comparison. The Erdtrees Favor +0 increases HP by 3%, stamina by 6.75%, and equip load by 5%. The Erdtrees Favor +1 increases HP by 3.5%, stamina by 8.25%, and equip load by 6.5%. That's really not a huge increase, something like 15%. And then once again, the Erdtrees Favor +2 increases HP to +4%, stamina to +9.6%, and +8% equip load. That's all. Thanks for watching. Consider liking, subscribing, and dropping a comment if you want to see more videos like this.